does. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever met a woman who has everything going for her? She has the great career, she's incredibly smart, she has all these cool friends, but it seems like all the men that she attracts, all the men that she dates are trash, just complete and total trash. Or you have the woman who has everything going for her, but whenever you ask her how she's doing, she's constantly complaining about that no good man of hers. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about why it is that really successful women can sometimes fall prey to attracting toxic men. So, there are three reasons for this. Number one is oftentimes a woman who is really successful has a tendency to operate in masculine energy. So, if you don't know what masculine energy is, think about it this way. When it comes to what you learned in sex ed years ago in school, women, anatomy wise, are receivers. You can think about that for a little bit if it takes a second for it to hit you. But women are receivers, and our feminine energy is all about attraction. Our feminine energy is all about grace and ease and pulling things into us, even when it comes to creativity, because creativity is a very feminine thing. And when it comes to that energy, men tend to be builders, whereas women tend to be creators. And when I talk about creation, I'm talking about the idea of women's intuition and how that intuition is so real. And oftentimes you see with our intuition, we tend to get these sparks of ideas, sparks of creativity, and we attract things into us. We don't necessarily build. So when you look at masculine energy is the energy of push, of force, of aggression, and of building things. So you may be asking me, Keisha, what does this have to do with successful women attracting toxic men? Well, here's the connection. When you are a highly successful woman, oftentimes the way that you were taught to become successful is to act like a man in a man's world. So doing that, you start to adopt those qualities of push and aggression and drive and build, and it translates into your romantic relationships as well. So instead of allowing a healthy, high value, godly, committed man to come into your life, instead of allowing yourself to draw that in based on your energy and all the things that you possess and all the qualities that you have, instead, just like you've gone out and adopted that masculine energy of building and you've built everything else in your life, you go out and you try to build a man. You find a man who is okay to start. The building blocks are there. He's decent looking, or he's really smart. And there are just some things that need to be fixed. He lacks ambition, or, he just is an underachiever, and you think that you can build those qualities into him. Maybe if you nag enough, maybe if you push enough, maybe if you point him in the direction of men who are doing those things, and maybe you can convince him to hang out with those men and, I don't know, absorb their ambition by osmosis or something. So one of the main ways in which successful women tend to attract toxic men is because they're so used to building everything else in their lives. They often find projects in the men that they date. The other way that successful women attract toxic men is this whole idea of overcompensating. We make these jokes all the time about how men will overcompensate for their looks or their body by doing things like going out and making a lot of money, driving a nice car, or having the big house, or any of that stuff, flashy jewelry, you name it. Women have this tendency to overcompensate as well, especially really successful women. And how that works out for us is when you are a highly successful woman, oftentimes people look at you and they look at your hard exterior that has allowed you to reach the success. Going back to this idea of oftentimes highly successful women operate in their masculine, so they sometimes come off as a little bit tougher, a little bit stronger. and feel this need to overcompensate by being incredibly nurturing. And there's nothing wrong with being nurturing because, of course, as a woman, that is part of our essence. We are nurturing, caring individuals. That is incredibly feminine. However, what happens is this overcompensation comes into overly caring about a man, giving and giving and giving until you have absolutely nothing left to give. And then you find yourself exhausted. You find yourself constantly worn out, and you're wondering what's wrong. You're asking yourself, is it because I'm getting older? Is it because I've been working too many hours? And no, you don't have any energy because you're constantly giving it away to someone who doesn't deserve it. So, we're talking about the 3 ways in which incredibly successful women tend to attract toxic men. And we've talked about operating in your masculine energy. We have talked about overcompensating. And the third one is toxic men have a tendency to be really attracted to successful women. And they sometimes target successful women. You may be wondering why that is the case. Well, here's the thing. Think about it. If you are toxic, if you are a user, if you are an abuser, then obviously what you would want in a partner is someone who is primed to be used and abused. So when a man is toxic, when he has a tendency to take advantage or try to get over on someone, a highly successful woman is going to be the first type of woman that he looks at. And you would think, oh no, that's not the case. A man like that is going to want a woman who's weak. Well, actually not so much. Because here's the thing. A man will look at a woman who is highly successful and he will say, well, she's got her own. You know, we hear rap songs about women who are incredibly independent and it's glorified. Think about it. If a woman is really independent, she's not going to be asking a man for money. She's not going to be asking for stuff. So a man looks at that and he's like, oh, great. So now I don't have to worry about giving her as much. I don't have to worry about doing as much for her because she's got it. She's got her own. She's not going to be asking me for anything. And, you know, back to this idea of women being receivers and operating in their feminine when they are receiving. If you want to know whether or not you are operating in your masculine energy too much as a woman, if you want to know if you have a hard time receiving, I have a quick test for you. How good are you at receiving? Can you accept compliments easily? Do you just say thank you? Or are you the type to be like, oh no, me, you don't mean me, or I can't believe you said that about me. That is so sweet. And you have a hard time actually receiving compliments, or whenever someone offers to help you, you say, oh no, I got it. I don't need your help at all. If you have those types of personality traits, those situations happen to you, then you are bad at receiving and you're probably operating a lot in your masculine energy. So back to this idea of toxic men targeting highly successful women. So they see a woman who's not going to ask for very much because she's got her own, right? And they see a woman who is also successful and strong. And especially if you're looking at a man who is a narcissist, for example, this is going to be an ego boost to him to have this woman on his arm who has got it all, who has everything for herself, who can take care of herself, who has all the trophies. And by trophies, I mean, you know, the degrees, the great education, you know, the great job, the great career, all of that stuff. So when you have a man who is toxic, who is narcissistic, who is abusive, who is a user, who is a taker, he's going to see a woman who makes him look good. He's going to see a woman who is not going to ask him for very much. And he's going to see a woman who is incredibly giving. And he's going to think, oh, wow, I have hit the jackpot. So these are 3 reasons why toxic men tend to target successful women. Guys, forgive me. And why successful women tend to end up in relationships at least once or twice in their life with toxic men. Because you're looking at women who operate in their masculine very often. So they're used to trying to build things and force things. You're looking at women who try to overcompensate for how strong they are in areas such as their career, and they become overly nurturing to the detriment of themselves. And you are also looking at the fact that toxic men often target successful women. So let me know, what do you think of this video? Let me know if you have any questions, especially about masculine and feminine energy, and I will talk to you soon. Love you all.